Hi everyone, it's John. Welcome back to my channel. It is September 1st. Finally, September. Maybe it will finally start cooling down here in Texas. And I have another book review for you. It is, I know some people in different corners of BookTube have varying interests in Alexis de Tocqueville. And this is a book that I read some number of months ago about his journey to the United States, and possibly, considering your interest, might be a valuable addition to your Tocqueville library. This is Leo Damrosch's Tocqueville's Discovery of America. Since its publication nearly 2 centuries ago, but about 185 or 190, something like that, the observations taken down in Democracy in America have almost reached the status of secular scripture. Nearly every political scientist or 18th century Americanist will tell you that it's nearly impossible to understand the United States without having reckoned with what Tocqueville has to say about it. It presents a set of concepts, languages, rules, and categories by which Tocqueville organized his thoughts, and through which Americans still largely interpret their own history. Leo Damrosch, for those of you unfamiliar with him, is a recently retired, I don't remember how long ago. I know just 1 or 2 years ago he put out a series on great courses. It used to be called Great Courses, now it's called Wandrium, on a history of the novel since Don Quixote. And I think, I'm pretty sure he's retired. He's written a biography of Rousseau. He's written a biography of Jonathan Swift. He's an 18th century European guy. Written several. Also Blake. A couple of books on Blake. And he writes this book mostly about Tocqueville and his fellow traveler, Gustave de Beaumont, as travelers. That's what the main thrust of the book is all about. He's not, for the most part, interested in Tocqueville's ideas so much as he is with the 9-month journey that he took in 1831 with his fellow aristocrat, de Beaumont, and where they went, what their plans were. I mean, this sort of opening map kind of gives you a clue where the stress falls in the telling of the. I mean, it's basically a catalog of the journey. The first chapters retrace their trip from May 1831 to February 1832, detailing people, books, ideas, and experiences that influenced the two of them, including the sexually conservative, according to Tocqueville, women that he came across, enslaved men and free men, rich and poor people. Their initial task, of course, as everyone knows, was to make careful observations of the American penal system, but that quickly became less important to them than this sort of really detailed, intensive charting of many aspects of American life, from differences between cities to the educational status of the average citizen to economics to American forms of religion and evangelicalism to the race problem that Tocqueville could tell a generation before the Civil War would ultimately bring the country to war. And instead of the class prejudice he used to see back in the old world, Americans, of course, had a racial caste system, not an economic one, which struck him as just as odd as the French armies of government bureaucrats and economic caste system would have struck any American. But it is a pretty workaday book. It pretty brisk, about 225 pages. He doesn't offer up here anything like, if you're familiar with probably a much more worthy book in your Tocqueville library, if if you have such a thing. It's George Wilson Pearson's 1938 book, which is exhaustive. It's almost a day-to-day reportage of their trip. It's this book. Damrosch is very much a broad, sort of personality-focused, narrative-driven history, where the ideas about the political science and the sociology sort of take a back seat, and there's little to no wrestling with Tocqueville's conclusions about American life, or the citizenry, or democracy, or the big takeaways from democracy in America. While sometimes barely scratching below the superficial, Damrosch's book remains one that could be valuable for someone who wants sort of a quick, jaunty retelling of Tocqueville and Beaumont's trip, without committing to the time and obvious effort that it would take to read Pearson's 900-page book. Just a quick note, by the way, Damrosch relies, for most of his translations in the book, on the 4-volume bilingual edition of Democracy in America, put out by who else? The wonderful people over at the Liberty Fund. The 4-volume, 3,360-page historical critical edition can be had for $60 from the Liberty Fund, while the 2-volume English-only version will set you back a mere $22, and that is before their very frequent and very generous discount coupons. So if you're interested in maybe reading this along with Democracy in America, that would be probably the ideal version to have. Leo Damrosch's Tocqueville's Discovery of America. I will see you, hopefully, on Friday with a Friday Reads.